You can't read. I'm just saying, can you read or you can't read?
I do this,
Yalla. Have you got the...
I haven't got the book,
Yeah. Take the book and I'll just
Get closer, guys. Get closer with you. The front row is okay. No, you're okay. No. You can't go on the floor. Dirty. Really dirty floor.
Hey, Talha, over here, man. What are you doing all the way over there?
Where am I going to sit there?
There's space here.
Lots of space. Lots of space. Come in.
Come here.
Come on, man.
Here.
Here.
There's space here, bro.
Samin.
You're cold?
No.
Khalas then.
Yeah, Samin, sit down.
Jazakallah. Just sit down forward. Give comfort, Talha. Yes, get really warmer. Jazakallah. You're going to start zakat tonight. Very important topic. Unfortunately, we don't have really a lot of people here today. Is it because I delayed the class? Scary. يا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين. All praise is due to Allah, and may peace and blessings be upon His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But even though the sound is like it's been like this, it's not open. For verily, we're going to be, inshallah, tonight starting the book of Zakah. And the book of Zakah is not like the other chapters where the Muslim is aware a lot of the information regarding it. Like, for example, Salah. Many of you know about the Salah. We talk about Siyam. Many of you know about the Siyam. But when it comes to Zakah, so many, lots, it's too open now. It's going to give me the headache. For verily, yes, that is the zakah. We find that so many Muslims are not equipped with enough information to know, first of all, if this item you pay zakah on it or not, and if it is, how much is the quantity, and if it's how much is the quantity, then how long you keep it for zakah to be due on it, and how much is zakah is to be paid. All these things are the things that we're going to be discussing in this week and the following 2 weeks, inshallah. Zakah, as we know, it's the pillar, one of the pillars of Islam, and Islam is built upon how many pillars, Ya Talha?
5.
5 pillars. Name one.
Zakat.
Name another one. Say zakah. Huh? Salah. Name another one. Sawm. 3. Name another one.
Hajj.
Hajj. 4. Can you name them? Yes. We should put it starting with the shahada. I don't understand that. Before you start with any pillar, you start with the shahada. Shahadatan. So I asked Talha, he started straight away with the, what was it, zakah? He said zakah.
No, who said that?
He said it.
He said what?
No, you asked him how many pillars.
How many pillars? Who said? Who's the one? Oh yeah.
Money man, innit?
Shahadatan.
Big money.
But never mind. 5 pillars. Right, let's, so this is the first thing. We don't have to read it. So we're going to be talking now some of the ahadith, the ayat regarding the encouragement that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had put for us in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding the zakah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا. Meaning?
Take alms from their wealth in order to purify them and sanctify them with it.
Take alms. Alms means what? Zakah. In order to what? To purify them and?
To purify them and sanctify them with it.
You have to put this instead of like this, like that. Okay. Purify them and sanctify them. Right. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَمَا آتَيْتُم مِّن رِبًا لِيَرْبُوَ فِي أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ فَلَا يَرْبُو عِندَ اللَّهِ وَمَا آتَيْتُم مِّن زَكَاةٍ تُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَ اللَّهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ الْمُضْعِفُونَ. نعم.
And that which you give in gift to others in order that it may increase your wealth by expecting to get a better one in return from other people's property, but has no increase with Allah, but that which you give in zakat seeking Allah's countenance, then those they should have manifold increase.
The manifold increase is only for the one who does the zakah, not the one who takes riba. Riba means you lend him the money and then you expect him to give you more money when he returns the money. That's obvious riba. But you don't want to do that. You want to give zakah for the sake of Allah. And Abu Hurairah narrates that the Prophet ﷺ, he says, he who does give sadaqah, that means charity or zakah, in equivalence of one date, but from a halal earning, not from haram earning, and Allah only accepts the halal earning, then Allah Azza wa Jal will accept it and take it in His right, and then He will raise it up, just like a person, He would raise up his colt. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that cult it says?
Cult, yeah.
حتى تكون مثل الجبل, until it becomes like the mountain. The cult is a small horse.
Yeah.
And there's another word for it. Not calf, calf is a cow. Cow. Colt and I can't remember. Maybe there's a right. Now, warning against a person who prevents zakah. Who prevents them means he does not give zakah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَلَا يَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ يَبْخَلُونَ بِمَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ هُوَ خَيْرًا لَهُمْ بَلْ هُوَ شَرٌّ لَهُمْ سَيُطَوَّقُونَ مَا بَخِلُوا بِهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَلِلَّهِ مِيرَاثُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاللَّهُ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ خَبِيرٌ. Now,
And let not those who covetously withhold of that which Allah has bestowed on them of His bounty think that is good for them, and they do not pay the obligatory zakah. Nay, it will be worse for them. The things which they covetously withhold shall be tied to their necks like a collar on the day of resurrection. And to Allah belongs the heritage of the heavens and the earth, and Allah is well acquainted with all that you do.
so whatever you don't pay zakah on its behalf, then on the day of resurrection, you will be circled with it. So if you don't pay the zakah of the sheep will go onto your neck. You have to carry it. With, of course, on top of that, punishment as well. Also, Abu Hurairah narrates as a hadith.
Abu Hurairah narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever is made wealthy by Allah and does not pay zakah on his wealth, then on the day of resurrection his wealth will be made like a bold-headed poisonous snake with two poisonous glands. It will encircle his neck and bite his cheeks and say, I am your wealth, I am your treasure. After stating that, the Prophet ﷺ then
recited the verse that we mentioned before. So here on the day of resurrection, if you don't pay the zakah, a snake, which has got the fangs, and that it will lick your cheek, and it will say that I am your treasure, that what you've been hoarding, and you've not been paying zakah. Also Allah He says, وَالَّذِينَ يَكْنِزُونَ الذَّهَبَ وَالْفِضَّةَ, to the end of the verse, meaning
those who hoard up gold and silver and spend it not in the way of Allah, announce unto them a painful torment on the day.
That means hoard it, they don't pay zakah for it. On the day of resurrection, yes.
On the day when the wealth will be heated in the fire of hell and with
what is going to be heated? The gold and the silver that you've been not paying zakah. Okay, it's going to be heated. Yeah.
And with it will be branded their foreheads.
Branded, cauterization, burning, their head, and also
their flanks and their backs.
The flanks and their back, their sides and their backs. And it will be said to them.
And it will be said to them, this is the treasure which you hoarded for yourselves. Now taste of what you used to hoard.
Right. So we have number of ayat, number of ahadith regarding those people who do not pay zakah and what sort of punishment they will have. Also Abu Hurairah narrates that the Prophet ﷺ, he said,
Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu,
just continue. When I said Abu Hurairah, said, just continue the hadith, please.
The Prophet said,
I said that. You just say the hadith.
Okay, so, if any owner of gold or silver does not pay what is due on him, when the day of resurrection would come, pages of fire will be beaten out of him. These will then be heated in the fire of hell, and his sides, his forehead and his back will be cauterized with them. Whenever these cool down, the process is repeated during a day, the length of which is 50,000 years, until the judgment is pronounced among the servants, and he sees whether his path is to the paradise or to the fire.
So this is before he takes his final verdict, whether he's going to be to paradise or going to be to hellfire. All that you're going to be heated on branded with because you did not pay the zakah for it. This is before we start the reckoning. This is before we start with Allah says to you, you're in the hellfire and the paradise. Look at the punishment. Also, it was said, Messenger of Allah, what about the camels. Go ahead.
He replied, if any owner of camels does not pay what is due on them, and of his due for them is the milk on the day of when it comes down to water. When the day of resurrection comes, a soft sandy plain will be set for him, and extensive in length. He will find that not a single young one is missing. They will trample him with their hooves and bite him with their mouths, as often as the first of them passes him. The last of them will be made to return during the day, the length of which will be 50,000 years, until the judgment is pronounced among the servants, and he sees whether his path is to the paradise or to the fire.
Look at sort of punishment it is. 50,000 years of length of the day, in which all those camels that you did not pay zakah for them, you had zakah, you have to pay zakah because you held number of camels and the zakah is due. You did not pay it. So all these will be lining up, even the small young camel, and all of them will be stepping on top of you and also biting you for a day which is 50,000 years. Like how many times are going to be doing this? Allahu A'lam. This is before Allah gives the verdict. One day, because the day is as long as that. طيب, what is the rule and the verdict, Islamically speaking, regarding the person who does not give the zakah and he prevents the zakah? Go ahead. Zakah, let me just translate myself. As zakah from the fara'id, the consensus of the ummah, consensus is the agreement of the scholars, the agreement of the sahaba, that it made it so necessary to be known from the deen as soon as you become a Muslim that you have to pay zakah. So if one person had denied the obligation of the zakah, then he is a disbeliever. Okay, so he's a disbeliever. Unless he's a person who's a newcomer to the Islam, then he will be excused because of his ignorance. Can you just look at me, please? I'm not reading. I am just translating what I... So, if this person had prevented the zakah, giving the zakah, but at the same time, he was believing that the zakah is compulsory, it's just like the person who believes salah is compulsory but he does not pray. That means he's going to be what? Sinned, and a major sin. So the person who believes zakah is compulsory, but yet he does not pay it, then he's like a person who does not fast and he believes in fasting. He does not pray but he believes in praying. He does not make hajj and he believes in hajj. And the ruler and the leader, he has to take the zakah from him by force, whether he likes it or not. And not only that, if he doesn't pay it, then the ruler, he will take half of his wealth as a punishment for him. Not just the zakah, half of his wealth, half of his capital will be gone as a punishment for that person. But if a group of people did not pay the zakah, and they have refuted and they have prevented the governor to take the zakah from them, then they will be fought for that. And that would happen at the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. At the time of the apostasy, some of those people had gone apostate kafir after becoming Muslim. Some of them, they did not become apostate, but they were preventing to give the zakah. And they said, we're not going to give the zakah. So Abu Bakr said, I'm going to fight them. And Umar said, how can you fight them? They say, La ilaha illallah. But they don't pay the zakah because they don't want to pay it. He said, no. I will fight them. For the sake of even a'anaq, which is like a tether, that is the goat to be tied with, that they used to give it as a zakat to the Prophet. They prevent me to do it, they prevent me to give it to me, I will fight them for that. So if a group of people decided not to pay the zakat, the governor is allowed to send an army for them, fight them to force them to pay the zakat. And as I said, the person who does not pay the zakat, the governor will take half of his money as a punishment for that. Upon whom the zakah is compulsory. The zakah is compulsory upon every Muslim who is free, so it's not compulsory upon the non-Muslim. The non-Muslim would pay tribute in the Islamic State, tax. And he's free, so the one who is slave, there's no zakah on him because it's a property of his master. And by the way, when I'm talking about the slave, you don't know what I'm talking about because you don't never seen a slave and you don't really experience what is a slave in your mind. And the one, so he's a Muslim, he is free, and the one who is holding the threshold and nisab, this is a particular amount of money or camels or horses, or sheep Okay, and that capital, that number, if you reach it, then you'll pay the zakat from. And he says, it is due upon the person who owns that capital, except for harvest. It is a threshold which is being held for 1 year. It's being paid by the one who is the owner of that capital, as long as he holds that capital for what? For 1 year. So whether it is gold or silver or banknotes, whether it is kettles from the sheep and the goats, or the camels or the cows, okay, for 1 year. So the threshold to hold it for 1 year. If it goes below the threshold, there's no zakat. Except for the plants, the agriculture, the plants, the crops, I should say. Although the zakat is due on it when you harvest it. If it reaches a certain amount of weight, then you pay zakat on it once you harvest it. So the harvest can take place once every 2 years, could be taking place twice a year, depending upon what is the crop that you're harvesting. Allah says, وَآتُوا حَقَّهُ يَوْمَ حَصَدِهِ. Give the due zakah of it the day that you harvest it. The type of wealth that you pay zakah on, it's not everything that you pay zakah. So if you've got millions of chairs, like the one you're sitting on them, there's no zakah on them. Or million of carpets, or million of water bottles, okay? Zakah on them. What type of zakah? What are the items that if I comprise a threshold, if I get a threshold and I get it for 1 year, that I have to pay zakah for? He says they are in the two currencies, gold and silver. Gold and silver, and what is similar to gold and silver, which is banknotes. So there's no zakah on something which is not gold and silver, even if it is expensive. Pearls, more expensive than gold, because they take them from where? From the sea. And the Prophet, there's no zakah on that pearls. Jewelries, which is not talking gold or silver, like rubies, like platinum, like, okay, all of these diamonds, more expensive, much more expensive than gold and silver, but there is no zakah. So only what? Gold and silver. And what is related to gold and silver is the bank, money, currency. Because it's been used as a substitute for the gold and the silver. And from the crops, that is, we're going to be talking about, there are crops that you pay zakah on, like they are, we're going to come to it, and that is the barley. Don't write anything, we're going to come to it. It's going to be barley, the wheat, and the grapes, which is raisins. And dates, and the dates. And the cattle, which is the camels and the cows and the sheep, as we're going to see inshallah. And the rikaz, the treasure which is found, being hidden by the people of Jahiliyyah. There is a zakah on that, which you call it a treasure. And that is, you find it on the ground, dug or being buried. You're not going to find that in this country. Okay, you find it in the countries where the Jahiliyyah before used to be residing. But let's talk about these in details. First, zakat, the gold and the silver. Al-nisab wal-wajib. What is the threshold and how much you pay? The zakah threshold, I mean the amount that you have to hold in order for the zakat to be compulsory and due, and that is 20 dinar. Now we don't have the dinar now at the moment. I'm not talking about Jordanian dinars or whatever currency of dinar. This is a dinar of gold, which is known in its weight. We're going to be discussing. And by the way, you have to write that down because you haven't got it here. And the 20 dinars is equivalent. Each dinar is equivalent to 4.25 grams of 24 carats of gold. Each dinar of gold is equivalent to 4.25 okay, grams of 24 carats, because the gold is in carats. The carats means the purity of the gold. The purest of the gold is 24 carats. For those who don't understand that, women on the other side, sisters, they will understand straight away. Brothers are hopeless for this. They know nothing, they just buy, but they don't know anything. Okay, gold is of purity. So 24 carats is the purest. And the less it goes down, the more impure it will become. So 22 carats less pure than the 24. And then we have the 21. And also we have 18. We have as well 12. We have the 9 carats. 9 carats is not even gold. It's just more metal than gold. Okay? So we're talking about now the pure gold. 24 carats. So each dinar of gold equivalent in weight to 4.25 grams of 24 carats of gold. So if I said 20 dinars, how much is that equivalent to? To see the threshold. Once you have that threshold for 1 year, then you have to pay zakah. How much is the threshold? Multiply 20 by 4.25. How much is that? 85. So it is 85 grams of 24 carats of gold. Once you have 85 grams, 24 carats of gold, for 1 year, you pay zakah. Zakah is due. How much I will tell you in a minute. Now, what about the 22 carats and the 21 carats and the 19 carats? We will say, okay, now you will see how much is the 85 grams of gold of 24 carats. How much is it worth from the 21? That's the threshold. How much is from the 22? That's the threshold. How much is from the 18? That's the threshold of the 18. So definitely the 85 grams of the 24 carats, much more than the 18. The 18 could be, you need about maybe 150, 130 grams of 18 karat of gold to equalize. So the 24 carats of gold. Okay? So how can I do it simple? You just work out how much is in money is worth is the 85 gram gold. And by the way, this is the threshold for your currency. So how much money if I have to have in order for zakat to be due? So I multiply now 85 grams into the price of the gram of the gold nowadays. So actually the threshold goes up and down. So if I go to now you've got applications, mashallah, very easy. Live, Gold Live is called. Very good. It's called all the commodities here. Gold, silver, and everything. And it gives me everything that I need in grams and everything. So here, this is in per gram. How much is the gold? So if I say here, okay, right. I've got it in British pound and I've got it in dollars. That's per gram. Right. You know, becoming very hard to me to see these days. Right, it is come on. That's it. 33 pounds 78. So you make it 33 pounds. Be on the safe side. So I'll multiply now. 33 multiplied by how much? 85. 2,800 and 5 pounds. So once you have 2,800 pounds, you kept it for 1 year, it doesn't go down below that number. At the end of that year, Islamically speaking, the year has to be a lunar year. Because the solar year is about 10 days more than the lunar year. So if you tie up yourself for the Islamic month, like let's say for example, Shawwal, it doesn't have to be in Ramadan, it depends upon when did you start your threshold. So once you reach the 2,800 pounds and you kept it for 1 year, then your zakat is due. How much is zakah? 2.5%. So, this person, he kept kept £10,000 from the beginning of the year at the end of the year. How much zakah should he pay? Come on, mathematicians. Yes, £250. Because each 1,000 is £25. It's 2.5%. Each 1,000, £25. Is that difficult? You said 2.5%. Is that difficult to say? Every 1,000 you pay £25. Yeah, 1,000 multiplied by 2.5%. That's £25. Okay, so it is 5,000. How much is that? Yalla, 5 multiplied by 25. That's 125. Yes, 4,000 is £100. Yes, everybody. Okay. All right. So this person, he had £10,000 from the beginning of the year, and this 10,000 somehow in the just about the 11th month went down to 2,000, and then the 12th month gone back to 10,000. How much zakah should he be paid? Nothing. So 11 months he kept the 10,000, but in the 11th month he went down below what? The threshold. The threshold is at 2,800. He went to 2,000, so below 2,800, no zakah. So when it's come back to 10,000, we'll start counting again. What about if this person is saving and his saving is increasing? So there's a scenario, number one, which is a scenario that we said he kept the threshold, but before the year of the end, in the end of the year, he became less than the threshold. There's no zakah. Start again when he gets the threshold. Second scenario, this person, he started with 10,000 at the beginning of the year, and he kept saving every month 1,000. Second month 1,000. How many are you going to add? 12,000. Because every month he's going to add 1,000. So he's going to add 12,000 plus the 10,000 he had, 22,000. Correct? So how much zakah should he pay?
250.
The same amount. Because it hasn't been 12 months since he
Isn't
raised
right.
that money.
He only paid
Yeah, but
2,000.
yeah, correct. But then he has to pay on the following month the extra 1,000 he had paid because it's been for 1 year. Isn't it true? Because when he added 1 month in the first month, so when he started, yes, 1 year it will be zakah for the 10,000, but the following month it will be zakah for the 11,000. The following month will be zakah for the 12,000, because you're going to get a year for each one. Getting crazy. Well, I told you that you got money. Maybe you haven't got any money. That's why you're not really worried. For those who don't know, what? Yeah. Either you're going to do it like that, or you're going to do it the better way, which is for the fourth person. If your money goes up, this is the second year, all the time, you pay the zakah on the maximum that you got at the end of the year. So you pay zakah on the what? 22. The 22. In that case, you have made zakah for all of them.
Is that only if it goes up and it never goes down?
Khadr, I'm very clear. Please, because you're going to confuse. So, first scenario, we said, person's money, 10,000. Somehow, during the year, it went down below the threshold, the 2,000, gone up, there's no zakah. We start counting once it gets threshold again. Second scenario is going up all the time. Third scenario. So, this started with 10,000. Second month, 15,000. Third month, 14,000. Seventh month, let's say, 18,000. And at the end of the year, 10,500. How much is it? Not a bit less. 8,000. How much zakah should be paid for what? 8,000. Because those they never lasted, the other ones. They're not going to be increasing. They're finished. So they're going to be paying for the 8,000. Do you understand that? So he says the person Thursday night is going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down until, so you go to the minimum. So you take the minimum figure, you make zakah. Whereas the other one, because you're going up all the time, you go to the what? The maximum. That is better. Unless you're going to do every month at a different threshold. Every month a different threshold. So the first year, in the first month, the first year, they're going to pay for the 10,000. And then the following month, they're going to be for the 11,000. Do you understand me? That's going to be a headache for you. That's the best. And that's how you tackle your issue. طيب. Silver. How much is the threshold for the silver? It says here 200 dirham. 200 dirham. Now I need to know how much each dirham weighs in grams, because these days we don't have dirhams of silver, we have grams of silver. And it's being weighed, alhamdulillah. Each gram of silver weighs 2 point, you're going to write these things, 975. 2.975. If I multiply that number by 200 dirham, I will end up with the threshold 595 grams of silver. So now I got the threshold of the gold and the threshold of the silver. So why did the guy measure the money and he gave me the threshold of the gold, not the silver? Scholars said if he gave the threshold of the silver, then it will not be good for the poor. And plus, most of the currencies are based to be equivalent to the gold, not to the silver. Do you understand that? And I'll give you what I'm saying here. For example, if I go to my program here again, the silver. Do you know how much is the silver for each gram? You won't believe it. 38 pence. That's how low it is. It was one day £3, I remember.
Now it's 30.
38 pence. That's how cheap it is. It's just like, cheaper than potatoes. I remember a friend, he was working in silver, and he buys any. Wallahi, it reached £3, I remember. Not 38 pence. And the gold, it reached 36 pounds, and it reached 18 pounds, I remember. 18 pounds is 16 pounds, 17 pounds. Last year, 25, 26, 24. SubhanAllah, go up and down. So the silver, if I'm going to put for the grams, there's a 595 grams multiplied by 38 pence. Okay, that's not good for the rich person. The threshold will be, you understand me? It's not good for the rich person. Because if you're going to multiply 595 by 50 pence, okay, that's about 300 pounds, less than 300 pounds. So every time 300 pounds are going to pay zakat, you're going to be running out of money. So it is equivalent to the gold. The threshold is to the gold, not to the silver. Everyone understands that? Okay, very good. So we got 1 dinar of gold is equivalent to 4.25 grams of 24 carats of gold. And 1 dirham of silver is equivalent to 2.975 of grams of silver. Silver, by the way, hasn't got any grading, 24 and 22 carats and all of that. Fine. Jewelry. A woman, she's got gold, but she's not she's not keeping it for buying and selling. She wants to beautify herself with the gold. The women, they like to beautify themselves with gold. Gold is for them gold. Now, do you pay zakah or not? Yes, you pay zakah. And he who says he doesn't pay zakah, he's got no proof whatsoever. And the proof is going to be opposite. So the Prophet ﷺ, he told Salama, he said that you pay zakah on those gold jewelries. When the Prophet of Allah entered upon Aisha, and he saw in her hands, in her fingers, like a ring, which has no pearl in it. And Prophet ﷺ, he said, by the way, it's a ring from silver, yes. What is this, Aisha? She said, Messenger of Allah, I beautify myself with it. She said, do you give the zakah for it? She said, no, Messenger of Allah. He said, well, this is going to be the reason for you to go to the fire, hellfire. Hasbuki nar. So fear the hellfire. So even that jewelry was made of silver, and it's been made for jewelry, not for buying and selling, you have to pay the zakat on that once it reaches its threshold. Right. The zakah of the crops. The zakah of the crops is only in 4 types. And the ones I mentioned before, and that's wheat, barley, dates, and raisins. There's no zakah on anything apart from that. The raisins is made of grapes, the grapes. So there's no zakah on cucumber, or peaches, or mangoes. Okay? There's no zakah except on those 4 items. What is the threshold for the crops? Threshold is what we call it khamsatu awsuq. Khamsatu awsuq, 5 awsuq. What is the awsuq here? Each wusq is, you have to write that down. Maybe you got that in your footnotes. That one maybe you got your footnotes. And 5, each wusq is 60 sa'. So how many sa'? 5 multiplied by 60. How much is that? 300. So 300 sa'. So what is the sa'? The sa' is 4 handfuls. 4 handfuls. So how many handfuls? So if you multiply 4 by 300, 1,200. Do you understand? 1,200 handfuls. I'll give it to you in kilos. If we said, like before, remember the cattle fitr, each sa' is equivalent to 2.5 kilos, multiply 2.5 kilos, okay, by 60. Each sa', which is 60 sa', isn't it? And each sa' it's supposed to be 695 kilograms. Hang on a second. No. Each 4 sides. What am I talking about? Or each 4 handful. So each 4 handful. Sa'. 4 handfuls. 2 point. Okay, let me just do the calculator here. 695 divided by. No, I'm wrong. Sorry about that. 5 awsuq is all of it equivalent to 60 sa'. Do you understand me? Okay? So the 5 awsuq, so the 60 sa' is the threshold. Do you understand? It's not 300. So 5 awsuq. So each wusq is 12 sa'. Okay? I made a mistake. Right. So if it is the case, 60 sa' multiplied by 2.5, 60 sa'. No, I'm wrong again. Let me revise my information. I am not really sure for that. 695, I know it's in kilograms. Divided by 5, 139. Divided by 60. Yeah, I'm sorry. Again, it is actually here 5. Each wusq is 60 size 300 again, and it's 2.3 kilos. Here is being measured from the wheat and the barley. So if you put 2.3 multiply by 300 gives me 690. So put in total, the 5 awsuq is equivalent to almost 690 kilograms, whether it is wheat, barley, or raisins, or dates. And by the way, these numbers, because we don't use them a lot, we don't have harvest, and that is why we find ourselves rusty regarding the information. We have to revise, basically. And for the gold and the silver, I know it because we keep using gold and silver and money. But when it's to do in our coming to the animals, I have to revise because the information is not being used because we don't have cattle to go and give zakat on camels and how many camels it is due. There are numbers there. If I'm going to teach you inshallah numbers within the next 2 weeks' time, that will be a maths game. regarding the cattles. We're going to play the game, inshallah. Bidnillah. So we're going to imagine that you are a farmer, and you own some sort of certain number of cows and all of that. How much you're going to be paying zakah on behalf of those camels and cows and sheep. طيب. So we got 5 awsuq. Each wusq is 60 sa', makes it 300 sa'. Each sa' is 2.3, makes it 695 or 690 kilograms, the threshold of the crops. There's here a title, says khas al-nakhil wal-a'nab, means predicting the weight of the palm, of the dates and the raisins. Yes?
Dates and grapes, is that one?
Yeah. Is that prediction or prediction?
Estimation.
Yeah. To estimate. Basically, the people who are planting grapes or planting dates, they want to eat from it. Okay? So maybe they don't want to wait until it's ripened. So they want to eat from it. So that's where the estimation comes in. So the governor will send someone to see and estimate how much is in your trees. And then you will go, khalas. So you could eat whatever you like now. Do you understand that? Because some people, they like it not to be ripened. Some of them half ripened and all of that. So that came just to, as a comfort, a relaxation, and a concession for the people. So the governor will, khalas, that's it, estimate, you've got 2,000 kilos of dates. So this is your dates now, you could eat whether it's ripened or not ripened. He will estimate. It's called khars. Cattle, inshallah, for next week. 2 weeks time. 2 weeks time. Cattle. Right. Now we come for your session, which is your questions, inshallah. Any questions, please? Go ahead. I need next time to teach you in a different room. Or you could bring me the board, which is upstairs. Bring me the board here. Yeah, there's a board. You remember that one which stands? I remember. Remember? For teaching Quran.
Yeah.
Flipboard.
Oh,
Flipboard.
was out there, yeah?
It was down here before.
I was teaching Quran last week. I was
I
using
forgot where I was, yeah, I forgot where I was.
Room
yeah.
20.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's out
we
there.
bring it downstairs
Yeah,
here.
no problem.
And I'll put it in the middle where the sisters can see as well.
Yeah.
And we'll play the game of numbers for the cattle, inshallah. Fine. Any questions? I'm sure that you should have any questions. Because if you don't, I'm going to add you some information which is as well as important. Nah, further.
Investing in commodities and gold and silver is permissible.
Am I allowed to buy and sell gold? No. Or silver? No. Because gold and silver, it has to be with gold and silver. And you're buying it with what? With banknotes, with paper. So trading it, not allowed, but to buy for your sake of your own usage and consumption, no problem. But to trade in it is not allowed. Yalla, Unis.
When you said when you're working out the 2.5%, which
Yeah.
is 2,000, and I think you divided by how much the money is, how much gold costs in money now. If it changes over the year, will you work it out then, or what it was before?
The threshold, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, that is basically in the threshold. Normally, it will not fluctuate that much in 1 year. Normally. But let's say it is a bad scenario where we have a fluctuation. So your threshold was that each gram of gold was costing £33 like now. So the threshold was 2,800. Somehow, second month, the gold price dropped. So it became £20 for a gram. Let's say, worst scenario, war came in or something. The gold became £20. So actually, war makes the gold up. It will not make it down. It makes the paper down. So there's something that happened. The gold price came down. So the threshold now will not be 2,000. It will be what? Much more than that. Do you understand me? Because the gold is what? The gold. So if you, it would be less than that. Because each gram of gold now costing £20. So £20 multiplied by 85, that's about 1,700. Whereas the threshold before was at 2,800. So now you're going to be saying that, oh, my money is already on the threshold. So because of 2,800, it's already, it's not going to make a difference in how much zakah you're going to be paying, 2.5%. But if the gold price gone up, then the threshold may be, you're holding 2,800, you're on the edge. Price gold gone up to £40 a gram. So it becomes now 40 grams, multiplied by 80, you got for more than the 3,000. So you haven't got the 3,000, so you don't have to pay zakah. Okay? You don't have to. So if you are below the threshold, the new threshold, there is no zakat to be paid. Now, تفضل.
Do you have to pay money on a loan that you give to someone, say if that's above the threshold?
Okay, we're going to be talking about money on loans because this is the very good question. If we look after we finish this, there will be zakah on the debts. But because of, and we'll, to give to who to give the zakah as well. But actually, we have to add these things. Very important. So, what if I am a loan? If I've lent somebody money, then this money is of two types. Either you lent it to someone who we call it person that, khalas, he's taking the money, you dream to get it back. We call it the dead debt. Dead debt. It's dead. Brother, give me the money. Inshallah tomorrow. Tomorrow has been for the last 20 years. Inshallah tomorrow. That one you don't give zakah. You don't really give zakah. You don't add it to your money. Unless he pays it. Once you pay it, now the scholar is different. Do you pay zakah for 1 year or zakah for the previous years? Zakah for 1 year. As for the debt which is alive, you know he's going to give it to you in 1 year, and you know he's going to give it to you. And this is like banking your money. You have to pay zakah on it. It's like banking your money. You bank your money with your brother. You saved it for your brother. You pay zakah on it. So what about the person who had borrowed the money? Does he pay zakah on that money? So the money would be now being zakah from the owner and the one who's borrowed it. We say if that person borrowed the money and he did not use it and he kept it with him for 1 year, he has to pay zakah as well on it. Why did he borrow it in the first place? But if you have used it, khalas, there's no zakah on it. Only the person who owns it is the one who pays zakah. Very well done. I'm impressed with that question. Fadl al-Khadr.
So you said you can't trade in gold, so you can't buy gold cheap and sell it at a higher price.
I said you can't trade in gold. You can't buy cheap gold and buy it at high price. You can't pay cheap silver and buy it at high price.
Yeah, you can't buy gold when it's cheap and sell it when it's high.
As
The
I
price
said, you
changes.
can't trade in gold as
So
well.
can you invest in gold? Like some people, they invest their money in gold because, like you said,
That's called the same thing.
because you know, like money fluctuates. They can lose. The money loses money. It's like,
If you want to keep your money in gold, that's different.
yeah, can you? That's like an
But if you're
investment.
trading, that's different as well.
Yeah. So if it's an investment, like I say, I want to invest in gold and keep it, so my money doesn't go up and down. So that's secure money.
Yeah, but this is to do with if your currency as bad as these Africans and
Oh,
South Americans, those are the countries see what really is. They go zero. And
yeah,
not when you have a strong
not
pound.
like over here.
Pound has gone down because of the Brexit.
Yeah.
And this government is going
But
all
they
over
say a
the
lot of
place.
rich people, that's what they do. They buy, they have some money, they have some gold, they have some silver, and
Yeah, but as long as you can, but the people working to buy and sell, like opening shop and buying
Yeah.
gold, and stuff, they're not allowed to do that.
yeah.
According to our Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah. Very good question. Fadl.
What if you have a bit of gold that is face value is worth more than the actual weight of the gold because of the
The gold value, like he says, let's say it's 22 carats and he's got 15 grams. If he multiply 15 grams by the price of each gram, it will be much less the actual thing because this is a necklace where it's been manufactured in a way. That's what you say?
yeah.
Okay. We are governed by the price of that item, regardless of how many grams it is. So if the minimum is the grams, it can be less than the grams, okay? But sometimes that gold as well, when you want to sell it, you lose that manufacturing bit of it. Do you understand me? So it'd be made a necklace. We don't want a necklace. We want to melt it and make it something else.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you lose that bit between. Okay. So we are attached to how much is the gold.
Okay.
How much is the gold worth? Regardless of how many grams. We gave the grams just to know the threshold of the money. So 85 grams, it will be paying. So you've got 85 grams as a threshold. This 85 grams is worth more, I've got, than if I multiply the grams into money. I will pay on the money. Or I could pay in gold. I don't have to pay for money. So 85 grams, I'm going to be paying 2.5% off from the gold. Do you understand me? So if it's 100 grams, I'll pay how much? 2.5 grams. I'll give a call, 2.5 grams. So how much is that worth in money? Do you understand me? That's how it is. How much is in money? I'll give it. Nah. Further.
If anybody has a house and that is coming rent from the house.
It doesn't actually matter, rent or not rent, because did you save that rent or you used it? You took the rent and you bought kebab and some petrol.
You're using it.
So there's no zakah on that. The zakah only on the savings. Actually. On the savings. You're going to keep asking the question, I don't know.
I understand, but if end of the year that much money he saved from the rent house.
You did not receive it, akhi. Only when you receive it becomes yours. So this person gives you monthly, so you receive it every month. This person gives you a year, you haven't owned it until you have received it. It's not a loan, this is a rent. A rent is his money, it's not yours. Once it's in your hand, it becomes yours, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you understand me?
Yeah.
So this person did not give you 10 years of rent. Well, I'm going to be paying zakat for 10 years, would I ever receive money?
He's paying rent, yes.
Do you understand me? So it has to be the savings. So if you took the money from the rent and he saved it,
Yes.
then you zakah. And I know the question why it's lingering, because I heard something, which is, there's a zakah even on trade, there's a zakah on your shop, and there's a zakah on your car, and there is a zakah on your land, and there's no proof for that. And it's widely being adopted by scholars. I respect that. But there's no proof. Where is urul tijarat wa zakah? There is no proof. Allah did not burden us. We are people who are, you could say, simple and illiterate. That's what we started. So when a person has a shop, he's not being asked by Allah Azza wa Jal to go and count how many matches he's got and how many little things. He hasn't got these computers that these days, mashallah, he knows how much is gone and how much has been taken. Simple shops we are. We don't expect people to be like McDonald's and how they're very good in calculation. They don't have. They don't calculate everything. So every year has to make jard. Jard means every item. It's a headache. So we say we pay not zakat, general sadaqah. General sadaqah. Whenever we feel stingy, we pay sadaqah. But to pay zakah, that's to count how much is items in my shop. Zakah is on the gold, silver, and which is equivalent to the currency. There's no zakah on the rubies, no zakah on the diamonds. Even it's more expensive. Ya akhi, there is zakah on camels, but I'm asking which is more expensive, the horse or the camel? What a Moroccan you are. One horse can cost $1 million, akhi. 1 million, one horse.
What about red camel?
Even it's a red camel and blue camel.
Red
The
camel.
horse for racing, you know how much is it?
Yeah, oh yeah, they exaggerate. Yeah. Yeah.
Millions. A horse for racing.
Camel racing.
I'm not talking about any horses. I'm not talking about a horse which can't even walk. No, a horse which is for race.
Yeah, they're money.
Very money, big money, 100,000 plus. Big money they are. There's no zakah on the horses. But there's zakah on the sheep. There's no zakah on the rabbits. No zakah on the chicken. Okay. There's no. Allah made it like this. Zakah on the camels and the likes. What is the camels and the likes? The camels and what is equivalent to a camel in some of the countries is called camel. I'll give you an example. Llamas. It's a camel. You know, heard about the llama?
Yeah.
It's a camel.
It looks like a camel.
And the cows and the likes. Buffaloes. That's a cow. Family of the cow. And the sheep and the likes, because maha, very beautiful sheep. Kummaha. It's looked like a deer, mashallah. And this is zakah on it. But there's no zakah on deers, no zakah on lions, no zakah on zoos. A zoo. No zakah on parrots, huh? Got a parrot here. There is a zakah on honey, which we're going to be talking about inshallah as well. Honey. Honey is zakah. Because at the time, the Prophet ﷺ is zakah. How is zakah? If you've asked the government to protect it for you. But if they didn't ask the protection for it, then it's a fly. It goes wherever it wants. We're not going to tax that fly. So if you ask for protection, so if it's your land, no problem. If it's in the mountains, no problem. But if you ask the government in the mountain, but please keep it for me, I want to look after it. Then you pay zakah. Okay? Now. And by the way, the crops. We have talked about the crops yet, or haven't talked about it? Yeah. The crops. It's zakah. How much? We haven't really mentioned. We said the crops of the money. Have you saw the crops of the crops? Have we got? Did we talk about it?
Yeah, we did.
How much?
690 kg, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's the threshold. We haven't really. We jumped one chapter here, a little chapter, so a little title. How much to pay? We said 2.5% from the money. Remember, how much to pay from that if it's above 690 kilograms? How much to pay? Now that depends upon the crops. If it is to be irrigated or to be rain. Do you understand? So if your crops is based upon the rain, then you pay double what you pay if you have yourself irrigated the land. Okay? How much? 1/10 if it's by the rain, 10th. And 1/20 if you paid it, if you have yourself spend money to, put the pipes and all of those. So 10th and 1/20. What about if it's got rain and plus I'm irrigating? So you take the average. 1/15. Average. Okay? So sometimes you rain and sometimes. Or you pay, or you calculate how much you get from the kilograms and you deduct from that how much money you spent for piping and all of that and irrigating. Now.
Or if you irrigate with a river or...
The river is from Allah Azza wa Jal. You don't pay anything from your pocket. But sometimes the government, they would tax you for using the river. You will be surprised. But I went to one of the towns, I can't remember which one. And I was looking at it these days when I filmed it. They've got this special, it was a peak, like a mountain. And people go to the top, they live, and on the bottom. And but the mountain, of course they've got roads, but there's shortcut, and that is like a cabinet, and it goes onto the mountain using like a cable, strong one, and there's two cabinets on both sides. One goes up and one goes down. And the idea is that the man who had invented it is using water. So that one of them will fill up water and it will be heavy and will pull the other one up. And while it's going, it will disload and discharge some water until, do you understand me? Until it goes to the top. SubhanAllah, mechanically speaking, it's ingenious, mashallah, very good. I was in one of them and was asking the person who is loading the people, come in, and then he locks the door and we go down. So I asked them, is this a private company? He said, yes, private company. So you're doing very well because you are using free water. You've got the sea. So no, the government sees us, charges us for the sea. They charge us as well for the sea. Subhanallah. Which is water they laid down there? No, they charge us for us as well. Unbelievable. When I heard this, unbelievable. Fine. One more question. Go ahead.
Can I pay in advance zakah?
Very well done. That's a good lucky question like this. Can I pay advance zakah? You can, but as long as that your threshold or your capital that you have said at the end of the year is not more than what you expected. So you have paid, for example, for 10,000, but at the end of the year you made, mashallah, you made a fortune of 20,000. So you pay the rest, the remaining. And if you have gone down and you paid more than what you thought you're going to be getting this, but you were less capital at the end of the year, can't go and ask the poor people, give me my money back. Okay. So what you could pay it before, but you cannot pay zakah before threshold. You could pay the zakah if it's threshold and before it's due. So if you reach the threshold, please listen to this. You got the 2,800. And before the end of the year, you want to pay for that zakah. So you got 5,000. You pay the zakah, no problem. 2.5%. But if you haven't got the threshold, and you got £2,000, and you paid zakah on the £2,000, there's no zakah on the £2,000. So once it goes to 3,000, don't count that zakah of yours that is being paid from that 3,000. You have to start. It's like praying before the sun rises. Praying, let's say dhuhr, and the sun hasn't gone to dhuhr. Praying isha before isha comes in. You can't. So you can't pay the zakah. You could pay sadaqah, but you can't deduct that as a zakah. Okay? Is that understood? Hopefully you understood it. Heavy dose for you. Yeah, I know you're dozing as well. Are you rich?
Me?
Yeah? You don't have to worry then. You don't have to worry.
Yeah, some people back home they pay zakah by commodity like clothes.
You can't pay zakah except by the item of the zakah unless the poor person agrees. So if I've got sheep, I have to pay my zakah for the sheep. But if the poor person can give me money for the sheep, no problem. But I can't give him money if he wants sheep. Okay, my zakah, for example, is currency. I can't give him gold unless he agrees to give him gold. My currency is silver. I have to give him silver. But if he agrees to give it me money, I'll give it him money. Do you understand me?
But building, make a house for them.
No. We're going to talk about that. You cannot. This is the zakah is to be given to them. They could do whatever they want. This is their money. It's not for you to decide what to do with it for them. It's their money. It's not your money. You should be working in the Allah's world. This is Allah, belongs to Allah. So this is what you pay to Allah as a tax. So you're not allowed to basically to say, okay, Mr. Poor Man, you got no fridge. This is a fridge for you. Part of the zakah money. Sorry, I don't want to buy fridge. I want to buy 30 liquid. It's up to me. You can't force me to do what you want me to do. Huh? I like 30 liquid by now. طيب. Any question? Go to the sisters and ask them. No questions. Yeah? Khalas? No questions? They understand better than you. Go on.
So who's responsible for the wife's jewelry to pay the zakah? Is the husband?
Look at that question now. Who's responsible for paying the zakah on behalf of the jewelry that my wife is enjoying?
You Khadir.
That's you.
She is. She's the owner. But if her husband wants to be nice, paying the zakah on his behalf, and remember, if you pay the zakah on the jewelry and not from the jewelry itself, then you're going to end up paying every year the same amount. But if you deduct from the jewelry, then the following year it will be paying less zakah because you have deducted from the jewelry. So, if, for example, you took 2 grams of it, so the following year will be paying on less grams until it becomes less than the threshold. I don't think the wife will let you to do that.
So then, if the lady hasn't, she has to pay it, but she has no money. Does she have to?
She has no money, and her husband doesn't want to pay it. She has to
sell
sell.
the jewelry.
To sell from her jewelry in order to
Pay the.
pay that zakah. No. Very good questions. I like your questions, mashallah. Go ahead. Fadlan. Don't scratch your head.
Treasure.
Huh?
What does that treasure? Does
Yeah.
that include like artifacts?
By the way, what time is the prayer? Now.
No.
Subhanakallah bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta.